Hello, everybody, and welcome on into Sidelines, presented by Visit Potter Tioga. I'm Drew Patrick. On today's show, we talk baseball, we talk softball, and we have a double dose of track and field. It's a jam-packed show for you, so sit back and enjoy. Welcome back to Sidelines. Let's talk baseball as we have at the desk joining me Josh Farina, Assaf, Lowengart. Thank you both so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.
So this week, the rain kind of pushed games all together in back-to-back days of games, all in different locations. Let's start with that Kutztown series, a big series, an important series win. Let's start with those first two games on the road. What were kind of the takeaways from those games?
I think the biggest thing was that, we can handle any team that comes against us. Obviously, we didn't do that good in the first game, but long bus ride and all that stuff affects us. So we gotta first of all find a way to off the bus be ready to go. That's something we need to take to the next couple of series, and then you saw we started hitting the second game and obviously won and took it over to the next game. And yeah, it was fun to win.
Yeah, basically we just have to get the little things done. If we get the little things done, they'll come up. Our pitching has been fantastic. We just as a team have to get the timely hitting and clutch situations.
So let's talk about that Monday, Farina, and did 4 for 4, 5 RBIs. That's one heck of a day for you. What was clicking for you in that game?
Just trying to go out there and compete, knowing that if I don't do well, my team will have my back. Or, just going up there with positive mentality and just trying to get aggressive swings.
Yeah, peak mentality. Nice.
Yeah, peak mentality. Peak mentality.
So let's talk about the facility, Corning there again. Again, it's a long field that you kind of have to adjust, and especially playing in the outfield. And Assaf, you too have been kind of the utility knife type player, playing wherever they need you to. But you both have dealt with the outfield there. How do you have to adjust to a field that's not shaped like you're normally used to?
First of all, just knowing where the deep part is. So right center is where it gets pretty deep. So I'll shade, if I'm in center field, I'll shade over, and the right fielder will help me out. And then because I'm shading, the left fielder needs to know. So communication is key in that aspect. And then every ball that gets hit in the air, you gotta, not give up on it because there's so much room to go. So as long as you keep going and until you hear the fence coming, you're fine. There's a long way.
Yeah, you got to get on your horse, and you got to make sure you're always backing up and hustling to the spot and getting that ball in quick.
Yeah, those backpedaling and switching the hip drills really come in handy.
For that field, yes.
Here for that field. So then let's jump right. Well, first of all, let's start with that. Getting that series win. How important is it moving forward to be able to get that under the belt? The first in-conference series win of the season.
Confidence-wise, it's big. We know we could have done it plenty of times. We just couldn't click. This time we did. So it's very good for our confidence. And then we need this for playoff opportunity. Yep. So we need this, we need Lockhaven, and we need to keep it rolling. So going to teams like Millersville and Bloom that are really hot right now, we need confidence to be able to compete. So that's really going to be big for us, especially after this Lockhaven. If we do good, it's going to carry on. It's going to be great.
Yeah, confidence is key. You know you can beat anyone on any given day, and we just gotta, like you said, find whatever can click.
So it's an interesting, I guess, mental note. How do you kind of adjust, knowing that you're in that final game of the series to try and win the series and that thing? Does the mentality change at all, or does the mindset, or do you kind of just approach each game as, well, let's just win each game kind of thing?
I personally don't want to be too high or too low, just stay neutral the whole time. So for me, every pitch is the same pitch, regardless if it's the first pitch of the game of my at bat that doesn't matter as much as the last pitch of my at bat when there's a runner on third base and I gotta get a job done. I try to see everything the same. So for me personally, no, but as a team, I think you're all aware of the situation. You do want to win the series and you do want to, do big stuff for your team. So it does affect, but at the end of the day, it's the same pitch, same spot, So you gotta stay within.
Yep, mentality should always be neutral. You gotta focus every pitch of every at bat and every play in the field, just to, you gotta win everything.
Absolutely. Let's go right to the very next day, another long bus ride there for you going to Slippy Rock. And Assaf, you were talking about getting off the bus and getting going. Well, it clicked there in that Slippy Rock game for early in that game. How important was it to jump on that early lead?
It was big. I mean, a lot of times when you get, we got 5 runs in the second inning, it puts a team down mentally, and you gotta, keep tacking on runs. And we had a little struggle in the bottom of the second inning, but we jumped back on it and we got more and more runs. And when you do that, they just fall down and let you have the win a lot of times. So when you do that, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's like that. The pitch. We knew the pitcher. If we can get those big innings, we know our pitchers can shut them down.
And it's a young pitching staff and really kind of a mixed bag of you guys of youth and the ones with experience. And how do you kind of gauge that for these long road trips and for these long things to get kind of a leader and to really be able to spread it to some of the younger players? As a senior, how does that affect your role, I guess? And then kind of same thing, you've been here, you've worked to help some of these younger players kind of adapt to that. How important is that of your roles this year?
I think the big thing is just talking to everybody and, tips that I got from the guys that I played with, pass them on kind of. So if I'm on a bus ride, I don't want to, be in a ball all the time and get tight. I want to move around a little bit, move my feet. So that's a key thing, to be prepared when you get off the bus, not get to the field and then, okay, now stretch for an hour. I want to be, stretch for 10, 20 minutes and then I'm ready to hit BP. So moving around is big, and then, preparing the day before. So I'll prepare my food before so I can get on the bus with my food ready and not wait 3 hours and then I don't have anything to eat. Hey, start scavenging for food. So preparation is also a big thing. And I mean, the guys listen sometimes they don't, but it's all good,
You just got to give them tips and basically get them prepared. And definitely keep their confidence up, because when you're younger, you're not always gonna, succeed. So if their confidence is up, they're gonna be fine and set and ready to go.
So looking forward to this week, you mentioned Lock Haven is the opponent. What's going to be kind of the key to keep the momentum rolling and as you said, take another series?
I think building off what we did this past couple, 3 days of 5 games, building off that will be key. We know we can hit. We know pitching staff's got our back. We just gotta, trust each other. Like you said, when the guy behind you has your back, takes a lot of pressure off. So it's gonna be good.
Yeah, just gotta get those timely hits and pitch a good game, and we'll win.
So and then. From that series, looking on, as you said, you got some of the big hitters coming up. So how, without obviously looking past this weekend, what can you take, or what are some of those little things that you can focus on in this series that you're going to need against, as you said, some of the hottest teams in the conference, some of those heavy hitters?
Again, like you said, we can't go over Lock Haven, think we're going to take it. We're going to have to work for it, and then from the mistakes we make at Lock Haven, which unfortunately there will be mistakes, build off that and just keep fixing our mistakes and, understanding what we need to work on and take the next week to work on it and just build off that.
Yeah, just work on basic fundamentals and just be prepared. And scouting report's huge too.
And this weekend, too, barring the weather, is going to be senior day. So, Assaf, I'll just have you kind of reminisce, I guess, a little bit. Obviously, we still got a lot of the season left to go, but of what your time here at Mansfield has kind of been like for you.
I mean, coming in last year, nobody was on campus, so, they told me a small town, small school, and it was very small because it was just athletes and freshmen. So that time was very unique. I mean, those parking spots first of all. Didn't need to walk too much. But it was very fun just being with the team and being together all the time and not there wasn't much to do. So that was very unique and I had a blast. And then coming into this year, after all the stuff in the summer and people start kind of knowing about the baseball team more. They knew before, but I wasn't here to feel that. So it's been fun having people around on campus and talking to people and being in class actually and seeing everyone. So the atmosphere here has been amazing, and everybody's been nice to me, so I had fun. And then playing, obviously last year didn't turn out as what we wanted, but this year we have a great group of guys, and we're building off what we did last year, and hopefully next year it's going to keep going what we built here. And I'm just hoping we can get to the playoffs and make something happen this year, make it special.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both so much, truly, for stopping by.
Well, thanks for having us.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere.
It's all part of Mother Nature's perfect blend, the keystone of the Keystone State. Visit Potter Tioga, a 2-county scenic outdoor haven conveniently located, yet worlds apart. A place where you can kick back, unwind, and forget about the pressures of life. Disconnect and reconnect with your friends, family, or even yourself while surrounded by nature's beauty. So start planning your adventures today at visitpottertioga.com.
Welcome back to Sidelines. Let's talk softball. As we have joining me at the desk, Alexis, Easling, Lacey, O'Donnell. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having us.
So, the weather, moving games, having to push back-to-back, which you're normal used to back-to-back, but back-to-back on a Monday and a Tuesday is a little interesting. What do you guys have to do to kind of mentally adjust to the weekday games as opposed to having that time really on the weekend?
I think I like weekday games personally. I think they're easier to adjust to. Normally on the weekends, there's either some type of travel or you have to, I always have to get up and get ready, get moving before the game, have something. I can't just lay in bed. So, if I have class, it's nice to get out and not just be all groggy. So I like weekday games. The only thing is you have to make sure you get the academic work in, obviously, before, but that's about it.
Yeah, it was nice because we were home for both of them and we haven't been home, so we weren't able to have to travel and deal with all of that stress. And just being able to be on our home field this week for 2 games back-to-back was great. And just separating those academics from softball, knowing what you have to do outside to be prepared to go into those games strong.
And with the weather that we had, I would take that. All the mental stress,
yes.
all the mental stress in the world, I will take to have the weather that we played in.
Yeah.
Absolutely there. Yeah, definitely an easier time than the baseball team who was 3 straight days at 3 different locations.
Yeah, that would be a lot.
So let's talk about that first game and really the bats were coming alive, a comeback there in that first Westchester matchup. Walk me through that first game. What were some of the things that clicked at the bat? What were some of the things that clicked in that game?
I would say our bats really came alive. For the season, we had everybody in the lineup that day producing, and we all came together really well. And our energy from the first inning to the 7th, it just kept getting higher and higher, and we came in there knowing that we were ready to take 2 from them. And we still have confidence in being able to go into that second game against Westchester if we play them again to take another one.
I agree with that. Like just seeing everyone, I think when everyone brings a small piece, it takes the pressure off everyone else, defensively and offensively. Like when you're at the plate and you have like a rally going, it's so much easier. Like, hey, they did it, I can do it too. Like just pass the bat, like just a base hit is all we need. And that's so much easier than putting all the stress on yourself. Like, hey, let me start a rally, let me get something going. So I think that helped a lot. And then that also helped carry in the energy that we needed.
Kind of that growing confidence, that growing energy there to spread around the team. It is such an energetic dugout there. And how important is that to not only keep up the energy, but to have fun, really literally like have fun with each other in the dugout?
That's, I think, one of the biggest parts of the game. I mean, that's the stuff you remember like the certain plays, but I remember like there are certain times in the dugout, like those memories that you make in the dugout are just as important as the memories that you're making out on the field.
Yeah, having your teammates out there rooting for you at your at-bat, you just have so much more confidence in everyone when you hear others cheering for you, knowing that they believe in you, that you can believe in yourself. Why are you laughing at me?
Because I thought about the time where I just yell at you and like, hit the freaking ball. Like that's how I cheer for you. Hit the ball. It's true.
Well, I mean, even the fact that you can have those like little moments between each other and to have those, you're right, that's probably the parts that will stand in the most. So speaking of that, I kind of want to touch on what is the on camera able to be said most outrageous or funniest thing you heard at a bat or at bat from anyone on your team?
We call Lacey Little Beef. I don't 100% know where that came from. All I know is she really likes Arby's. So you will commonly hear me say and yell, "We have the meat," while she's up to like that. So that's one thing. I don't really think there's any more like super outrageous ones.
No, I don't think anything too bad. But they're more fun when you hear that than when you just hear like your number being said. Honestly, like I'd rather hear stupid little jokes that we have together inside, knowing that they're still cheering for me to get a
Happy
hit.
birthday is a big one too. We sing happy birthday to anyone at any point in time.
Yeah, there's never.
Doesn't matter the birthday?
Nope.
Nope.
I don't think we know each other's birthdays. Most of us probably don't.
Even better. So let's jump right into that second game. After an emotional victory, going into that second game, what do you have to do to first attack it mentally and then restart? And then obviously as we're getting later in the day and it's getting darker in the day, the adjustments there before obviously the game was halted.
I think going in, like coming off a victory like that, you do need to take the time to like sit and reset. Like especially for me, like going from second to like on the mound. Like yes, that victory was amazing, but there's a whole other game, like a whole other 7 innings that you have to look forward to and you have to mentally prepare for. So I mean, whether that's just sitting down and taking time to just relax for a second, like make sure you're getting everything you need before the game, whether it be grounders, warm-ups, whatever that is.
Yeah, I'd agree. Just relaxing after that first game and knowing that like it did take a lot that first game. So just trying to keep your energy level the same throughout the next one.
And then obviously the game gets halted. So it leaves you with kind of that an empty feeling. Then you have a game the next day though. So you got a kind of recovery there. How is that recovery easier or more difficult because you get a day or you get a night rather, but it was less satisfying than even a decision, I guess, so to speak there.
I mean, I think that everyone in the locker room at the end was like, "Oh, we had that." Like we fully believed like we started that rally and we believed we were going to keep it going. Like so there was not a doubt in our mind that we weren't going to take two. Going into the next day, one great thing about softball is you literally have to forget everything as soon as it happens. So, like, you pretty much forget the first two games and you go right into, like, Millersville and Westchester, two completely different teams, two completely different approaches. So, I mean, just focusing on the next two is what was most important.
Yeah, going into Millersville after the Westchester doubleheader, we were excited, but we knew that we had to stay focused and know that it was a different ball game at that point.
So talk me through some of those two games. Obviously not on the way that we would have liked those two games, but what can you take away from those games? Being at home again, enjoying Helen Lutz Field, which you haven't had really the opportunity before these last couple of days. So what were some of the takeaways from that game?
I think even just being able to get more familiar with our field. Like, I think even practice-wise, we've only really been outside for practices 2 weeks at most, if we're lucky with the weather. So, I mean, just being able to, like, get more of that home field advantage and, like, feeling what we have and what we can do at home.
Yeah, I would say the same. I don't even remember what the question was.
What were the advantages of the game?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree with Lexi. Sorry.
So looking forward to the next couple games, what can you take from this weekend that really is going to help as the season progresses? And what were some of your biggest takeaways? Lacey, those 2 hits away from 100 career, and we'll come back around to that, but what can you take away from these 2 games and these 2 days, rather?
Yeah. For me, we have it in us is the biggest takeaway that we had. I mean, we were hitting. Millersville did out-hit us in the first game. I'll give them that. But we had it in us to come back, and we never gave up. Throughout, like, the Westchester doubleheader, we were down by 8, and we still managed to come back and get the win. And before the darkness, we still were fighting. We still put up runs. Even with Millersville, we just kept a fight in us. We kept rallies going, and our bats are going to come together.
I think it was like just gaining that confidence aspect
Yeah.
too. Like, that was so critically important. Like, I remember, look at how we celebrated after, not saying that's a bad thing, but like, we were all ecstatic to be at Westchester, which but we had to believe in ourselves to do that first. So, I mean, just to understand that we need to believe in ourselves and gain that and keep that rolling, like, that'd be perfect.
So does that role then kind of fall on, like, you guys as seniors here with that group to try and keep that motivation up with some of the younger athletes?
I say yes and no. I mean, I think as a individual, like, you can sit there and say, I believe in you, I believe in you, I believe in you, but it's going to take you to believe in yourself before you can actually do what needs to be done.
Yeah, I definitely think it's both, because when I was a freshman, I needed other people on my team to help me get pumped up. And the same thing goes for when you're younger and you're going into the ball game. It's different in college, and to have your teammates on your side rooting for you, that helps you find yourself and find knowing that you're going to do well and succeed.
So Lacey, I mentioned it, 2 hits away from 100. What will that milestone mean to you? Because I'm saying a will, we're putting it in. Of course, you're going to get 2 hits.
Yeah, I better get 2 hits. It feels good. It's nice it's nice, but I just hope that we're producing for our team. That's my biggest thing, is just being able to produce this season and succeed as a team. It's one stat, and there's 1,000 stats in softball, and half of them don't even matter. So,
Well, it matters to us, so congratulations for that. But thank you both so much for stopping by.
thank you for having us.
And Sidelines continues after this.
I would say just to get on the record board and really try and make it for nationals as well. Yeah.
And it should be a fun season. I know you guys are looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. And thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
for having us.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back to Sidelines. Let's talk track and field. As joining me at the desk, we have Sean Ringgold and Abigail Taylor. Thank you both so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
So let's talk about this past week, a fun week for the both of you guys at Lock Haven. Abigail, I'll start with you because, hey, you're on that top of that record book again. How does it feel?
It feels amazing, honestly. It felt really good at the meet, so feels good.
And this jump, your longest jump here at indoor or outdoor, what was clicking for you during your jumps?
I honestly think, so I did the 100 this time. Oh my gosh, that was funny. But I did the 100, and I really think that got my adrenaline rushing. So when I went to go jump, I was just feeling good. So yeah.
And yeah, it's amazing too, the 11.62, because you were behind the board a little, or behind the board there a little bit. So what are some of those things that you're working on there to really be able to hit the board, get the jump, get the school record, and continue to get better day to day?
So really what I've been working on is how to like master like the run up, like not even really like focusing on the jump, but like the run up, like how can I sprint better, how can I drive better going up the runway. Then also my landing, it's really just not the best right now. It's a work in progress, but yeah, that's about
Hey,
it.
see, if you're working on the sprinting, maybe doing that 100 definitely helped in that case too.
I think so.
And then Sean, a win in the 200, a second place to the man who won the indoor 400 and the 4, and you were right there with him. What can you take away from those two races?
It was just being able to get into doing the 400 again outdoors, because the last time I ran it was once indoor. We haven't really had that opportunity to practice outside, so I'm just making the most of it. And that's a big confidence boost for me going into the next meet and just being top, second in the conference right now.
So there was a strong win there, and you're running against it. What do you have to do? Do you even focus on that or notice that while you're running? And I guess for the 100, there was still that win there too. So is that something you really notice? And then how do you try to counteract that?
Yeah, you definitely can notice the wind hitting you on the turn, 100%. But it's like you kind of don't change your game plan. You still have to go out as hard, like just about as hard as you can on that turn. That way, no one else is catching up to you by the time you get on that straightaway. So the game plan doesn't change. It's just you kind of got to adapt to whatever elements they're throwing at you at that time.
So with this week, I don't want to say off because it's definitely not off, but no competition at the end of this week. This is really the week where you guys have had your really kind of harder workouts. What is some of your focuses, especially this week where you don't have a competition at the end of the week, that you can really hone in and focus on? And maybe it's the same thing that you said earlier, but what are some of those things in this week that you really want to focus on?
You want to take it?
Sure. I would say like we definitely need to work on, we just did a really hard run yesterday, honestly. And I think for me it is kind of the same, like the sprinting, like just getting that down and being able to build up our endurance is really important. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd definitely say like getting our endurance up. Like we already got an opportunity to do a practice that we can't do 2 weeks from now, and not having a meet, so we can really capitalize on that. So.
And the other thing that the both of you have in common is the relays this year, and have been able to be a part of those. What well, first of all, what has that been like for you guys, and then to really be able to have a relay team here at Mansfield and have enough to have those, how does that feel?
It's definitely really fun to have a relay. It takes some of the stress off of your individual events, especially having a 4x1 before we do like the open 4 or the 100. It's just a break from everything, and you also have your teammates to rely on. So.
Yeah, I completely agreed. It's more like it's actually really fun to be in a relay and have like a team atmosphere, because sometimes track can feel really individual. So being on a team like that, like, and having some people to rely on is really nice.
And this past week, I want to touch on that, the feeling individual, because you guys had a lot of teammates who also had really good performances this past week, and you guys are all there cheering them on. Whew. What has been kind of that part of this season, really being able to be there and cheer on your teammates and have your teammates cheer on you? Don gave you the biggest hug after you broke the record. Like, having that camaraderie there in a sport that at times can feel so individualized, how important is that?
Honestly, that is so important. And like Don, for example, like I honestly it's funny because like I call him Coach Cook at this point. It's just funny because like having him there, like when I'm jumping, is such a like morale booster, and it just helps so much. And then also being able to cheer on other like teammates is just the best feeling, because you just feel like their excitement when they like succeed in things. So it's the best feeling.
Yeah, having that support system, whether they're on the field with you warming up or waiting for their heat to come up, or they're in the stands cheering for you. You might not hear it during the race because you kind of fade out a little bit, but after the event and they're still cheering for you, it all just adds up. It's just boosting every part of the actual event.
So as we continue to look forward here towards the end of the season, what are kind of your goals set forward continuing? You have the record, so what's the next step? Sean, you've had broken records this year. What's your next step? Coming up, looking at the conference championship looming, what are your goals for the rest of the season?
Well, I say my goals are for the rest of the season, keep dropping that time down. I want to make it back to the top of the podium for the 200, probably make it to the top of the podium for the 400. Like, that's the new goal, defend the title, gain a new title, and hopefully qualify for nationals.
Yeah, honestly, I think my goals are like looking forward to PSACs. It'd be so cool to get like first place, obviously. So I feel like that's the goal, and just continuing to work hard and improve my distances. So.
Well, thank you both so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having us.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back to Sidelines. Let's continue to talk track and field, as joining me at the desk are two PSAC qualifiers after this past week in the 10K. Abraham Calderon and David Wootten, thank you both so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So let's talk about that race. Let's jump right into it. It's a lot of laps around the track there. It's the start of the race, or start of the meet, sets the tone for the meet. Talk me through that race. What was kind of going through your mind through it? What was your strategy?
So it was pretty much, it was like 3 people in the race, so it wasn't really much of a field. In reality, it was just all about just pacing the entire way through. It wasn't really a race, quote unquote. It was just more of just pacing is everything. Mm-hmm. And everything went well, and especially for him, went really well, which is always good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going into that race, I had never done the 10K out on the track, so I kind of had to just go for it. And leading up to the race, I wasn't sure whether I should try to go to PR or just go all the way through and try to go for PSACs. And I'm kind of glad that I, went for the stars and really reached for them.
And you hit him. Talk me through that final lap, because that final lap, you get the kind of the arm swing, the go ahead, and you just took off. What's going through your head? What kind of are you thinking about, or are you thinking at all really on that last lap?
For me, it all came down to wanting to get to PSACs just so bad, and having done that whole race, those previous 24 laps, I wanted it so bad, and hearing the time slowly tick down and just getting ever so closer each time with each lap to getting under 34 minutes, which is the PSAC mark. That last lap, I was like, I really have to go, because I have no clue if, I have to just give it my all, because I have no clue what's going to come next. And if I give it my all, I have the best chance of qualifying. And luckily I did, and luckily all that hard work paid off. And it was a painful lap, but as soon as I crossed that line, it vanished. I jumped up, went into Coach Mike's arms, and it was just all over, and I was just ecstatic.
Yeah, you talk about that emotion, and it was visible there to have that emotion of getting that qualifying mark. I mean, again, talk me through that moment specifically. You cross, you said the pain just goes away, and the hands go up, the emotion flows through.
Yeah, it really just vanished, and I just felt that overwhelming sense of satisfaction and joy, and I just felt all the hard work I've been putting in for the past 2 years really just paid off finally. And working through an injury my freshman year, and just making sure to stay dedicated throughout all of my 2 years of training, it just felt like it all was worth it, and it made me really happy at that point.
And then, David, granted, you were probably also at the end of your race trying to get that back, but being able to see kind of the emotion from your teammate. You all also qualified, so your emotion there, and then seeing your teammate right behind you also qualify.
Yeah, it was like a major breakthrough. It's an indescribable feeling, especially for him. Like I can only imagine. Like I've been there before. It's like a great feeling. Like it's a sense of relief, especially after coming off of an injury like his. Like it really can catch up with you emotionally, like mentally. But like he was very, very patient, even through like cross, getting back into it. It really showed this past weekend.
So with this, I mean, you guys are still, in terms of the distance squad, and especially on the men's side of the distance squad, it's still a very young unit and a very young group. So in that training, and I know, and David, we'll come back to the multiple events and the other events too that you're gunning for, but really that training and that trust you have to have in your coach and your teammates, and talk to me about that aspect of things, that there's not really someone, I guess, quote unquote, who's been there, done that, who's a teammate right away. So what do you have to do in terms of trust someone on the women's side and trust your coach?
So, like you said, we are a very young team. We're literally probably all freshmen and sophomores. Like that's a true fact. Like nobody really has that championship experience or that lack, or just experience in general, even in those big races. It's just more like a boost of like optimism for like 2 years, 3 years down the road, when like peaking wise and like the end of our career, like when it like will actually like matter in a significant standpoint at like our best. So it's really just a lot to look forward to, especially since we're so young.
Yeah. It also comes down to trusting our coaches too. It's hard to come into college and just immediately trust your coach. So it's definitely a process, and it takes time. But it becomes worth it when you start seeing progress down the line, because that's mostly what we're all looking for. Once we start understanding the training, we're not going for immediate results, because as distance runners, we need to put in a lot of miles, a lot of sweat, blood, and tears just to get to those dreams that we aspire to. So it comes down to trusting the process, trusting our teammates, and trusting our coaches as well.
And you guys talk about that growth too, to be young in your careers and to be able to get that milestone, to accomplish that first outdoor conference championship. Already in the indoor and had that experience thus far, but like to be able to get that accomplishment early in your careers, how much of a builder is that in terms of your growth, or in terms of a visible point of that development?
So since we're like all 18, 19, 20 years old, like development and like jumps in fitness become a lot harder, because we're all like more developedly just like getting stronger, like generally, and growing, getting taller and all that. So it becomes a lot harder. So that's when it becomes like a lot more like focus on like more specific training and all that, just getting better like as an athlete. So like to take these jumps, it really is a big thing, especially like for him. He literally like that was a massive jump, and especially to do it at like 19 years old where you're already fully developed, it's insane. That's where it goes back to that trust on training, coaching, and all that, and just being as patient as you can, because it will come.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what he said.
So looking forward to the rest of the season, have a little bit of a break week, as in there's no competition. So really this is kind of a week you kind of see build up in practices, like a harder kind of practices. What are those things, going to what you were just talking about, what are those things specifically in a week like this where you don't have a competition looming at the end of the week, can you kind of hone in and focus on for?
So the big thing is like we can get a long run in. Like it's not like we're off of really tired legs that Sunday. We can like actually get one in, like a long-ish one. We can also have like a harder workout, like because you don't have that tapering you have to do, like, oh, we're 2 days out from a race, you got to ease back. So it's more just maintaining and just resting up as well.
Yeah, definitely going into this week, we've gotten some good rest after that 10K, because it was a pretty tough one. But we do have a harder workout plan, and put in some more mileage for the rest of this, pretty much the latter half of the season.
A big meet coming up in a couple weeks, and then Shippensburg, which always has a contingent of some of those same athletes you would see in the conference championship looming, and then of course the conference championship looming. What are your goals these next couple of weeks to try and work on and continue to develop?
My goals, we have like three regular season meets left. So my big thing is next meet I'll be racing a 15, so I want to qualify in that race, and also race a 5 and whatever else. My goal is to get in 15 and 5 to add on to the 10 as well. That's the big thing.
For me, number one goal is staying healthy, being on top of that and making sure to give my body what it needs when it needs it. But when it comes to races, I definitely want to see some good PRs out of myself, especially following that race. But I don't want to set expectations too high, obviously, because I know that I'm still young and I still have plenty to build on. But definitely the number one goal is staying healthy. I want to make it through the PSAC.
Hey, it should be fun. I'm excited. I'm sure you guys are as well. And thank you so much for stopping by today.
All right,
Definitely, thank you.
And Sidelines continues after this. Do not go anywhere. And that's going to do it for this week, folks. To stay up to date on all things Mansfield athletics, head over to GoMounties.com. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.